Part 1, Sections 1 to 10. All right, Sales Associate exam, first time. Test takers from 2020. So, January total graded was 2,540. How many passed was 1,282. So the pass rate was only 50%. So the people that failed was 1,258. The fail rate is 50%. Wow. All right. So in February, right, in 2020, 2,600 took it, 1,300 passed it. So that's about a 51% pass rate. March, 51% passed it. April, 60% passed it. May, 63%. So the source is from Pearson View. This is January 2020 to May 2020. So on average, pass rate on taking the real estate exam is about 50%. So we're going to go over the 10 chapters: Arizona real estate law, broker licensing, and regulation, employment agreements, compensation teams and recovery fund, subdivisions and timeshares, Arizona Commissioner's Rules, Part 1, Arizona Commissioner's Rules, Part 2, professional conduct, Arizona Commissioner's Rules, Part 3, professional conduct and broker supervision, Unit 9 is property and government rights, Unit 10 is area and acreage math, land development, and zoning. All right, let's start with Unit 1, Arizona Commissioner's Rules, Part 1, general information and advertising. So we're going to go over numerous sources of laws and regulations in Arizona and the United States, including the United States and Arizona constitutions, federal and Arizona statutes, case law, Arizona real estate commissioner's rules, rules and substantive policy statements. So in this unit, we're going to define these sources of law, discuss Article 26 of Arizona Constitution and case law relating to it, as well as introduce you to the Arizona Department of Real Estate, the Commissioner, and the Real Estate Advisory Board. So we're going to cover sources of law, Article 26, Article 1 of Title 32. So after going over these units, you're going to be able to describe the sources of law, the important points of Article 26 of Arizona Constitution, discuss case law, State Bar of Arizona versus Arizona Land, Title, and Trust Company, define Arizona real estate broker, real estate salesperson, describe qualifications and duties of the Arizona Real Estate Commissioner, describe the Arizona Real Estate Advisory Board member qualifications. So for Arizona real estate law, it's derived from several sources. The Arizona real estate law comes from the Arizona Constitution, Arizona Revised Statute, ARS, right, 32-2101. Federal statutes, Arizona Real Estate Commissioner's Rules, Arizona Administrative Code, Rule 4. Rules are not law. So again, rules, they're not law, but have the force and effect of law on licensees. Arizona Department of Real Estate, ADRE, Substantive Policy Statements, SPS, establish and clarify ADRE policies on statute and rule. I'm going to go over case law, legal cases that have established or clarified law. So the birth of Arizona. So we're going to discuss these important attributes. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo on February 2nd, 1848. So in red, you can see that there's Guadalupe Hidalgo, and then the brown is Gadsden Purchase. So in February 2nd, 1848, that's when that's ended Mexican-American War. Ceded Texas, the Arizona Territory, and Upper California to the United States. It made Rio Grande and Gila River the United States southern boundary. The Gadsden Purchase there in brown is needed for railroads. It was created current U.S. Mexico boundary. Capital cities. So during the Civil War, Prescott and Tucson, capital cities. So 1867 established Tucson, 1877 Prescott, and 1889 established Phoenix. So these are the three capital cities during those time periods. Arizona statehood. Arizona became a state on February 14th, 1912. Statehood is achieved. Arizona real estate law and ADRE. The sources of law is Arizona comes from where? Comes from the Arizona Constitution, comes from the Arizona Revised Statutes (ARS). So if you want to ever visit ARS, where do the laws come from? Go to www.azleg legislation, right? azleg.gov. That's where federal law. So that's where the sources of the law come from. One of the good resources to use is this law book. I actually have two copies of this Arizona Real Estate Law Book. You can buy it on Amazon. Case law, what it does, it establishes legal precedent. So if you ever look into, this case versus this case, that's case law, and that's going to establish legal precedent. Court of Appeals or Supreme Court cases. Here's case law, title and topic, summary decision, application. Case law, State Bar of Arizona versus Arizona Land Title and Trust is one of three. The topic is unauthorized practice of law. So here's a brief summary of what happened. Prior to 1961, real estate agents and title companies had prepared real estate contracts and other documents to effect and close transactions. In many states, only attorneys may prepare such contracts on behalf of clients. The State Bar of Arizona sought to stop this practice by real estate agents and title companies. The plaintiffs, State Bar of Arizona, and certain attorneys filed two complaints. One was against the defendants, Ford Hoffman and C.L. Hoffman, doing business as DBA, Ford Hoffman Realty, Hoffman's. The other against the Arizona Land Title and Trust Company, Arizona Title Guarantee and Trust Company, Lane Title and Trust Company, Phoenix Title and Trust Company, and Tucson Title Insurance Company. So the title companies, the complaint against the title company was that their business practices by and through attorneys and other persons employed by them constituted the unauthorized practice of law. The complaint against Hoffman's alleged that as real estate brokers and salesmen involved in the sale of certain real property prevailed upon the sellers to permit Hoffman's to handle the escrow by advising that they were competent and qualified to handle it, and that their party to the transaction would be as fully protected from a legal standpoint as if the escrow were handled by a title company. The complaint further alleged that Hoffman's advised that they were competent and qualified to draft and prepare all the necessary contracts, deeds, bills of sale, and other instruments necessary to the transaction. So the plaintiffs claimed that Hoffman's were illegally engaged in the practice of law and sought an injunction restraining them from doing any further acts of the same kind or character, except preparation of the customary preliminary purchase agreement executed on printed forms prepared for such purposes. So again, this is part two now. So this is case law, right? Established precedents. So the State Bar of Arizona versus Arizona Land Title and Trust. So here's the decision. right? So these folks are getting mad because the realtors are practicing law. But here's the decision. The trial court basically found that the title companies and the Hoffmans were within their rights to prepare contracts and close transactions as they had done in the past, subject to certain restrictions. The plaintiffs appealed to the Arizona Supreme Court. After a lengthy discussion, the Arizona Supreme Court concluded, we have enunciated the general principles of the nature of the practice of law in Arizona, and that it must be and is confined to those who have been duly licensed as lawyers, and that neither a corporation nor a layman, under a guise of long established custom or as to matters which they may claim incidental to their lawful business, may engage in the practice of law. Part 3, here's the application of that decision. This case was the impetus for a statewide constitutional initiative led by real estate licensees that resulted in Arizona citizens voting for Article 26 of the Arizona Constitution, which gives real estate agents the right to prepare all types of real estate contracts without charge when acting as agents in a transaction. So here's the deal: agents can prepare purchase contracts, buyer's contracts, according to Article 26. So now here's Article 26 of Arizona Constitution. In 1961, in the case State Bar of Arizona versus Arizona Land Title and Trust Company, the Arizona Supreme Court held that by preparing real estate contracts, title companies and real estate companies were practicing law without a license. In 1962, voters amended Arizona Constitution by adding Article 26. So it reads this: any person holding a valid license as a real estate broker or a real estate salesman, regularly issued by the Arizona State Real Estate Department, when acting in such capacity as broker, salesperson, or salesman for the parties or agent for one of the parties to a sale, exchange, or trade, or the renting and leasing of property, shall have the right to draft or fill out and complete, without charge, any and all instruments incident thereto, including, but not limited to, preliminary purchase agreements and earnest money, receipts, deeds, mortgages, leases, assignments, releases, contracts for sale of realty, and bills of sale. Article 26 allows real estate licensees to prepare all types of real estate contracts when preparation is incidental to their function as an agent for one or both parties. The agent does not charge for any document preparation. So, what article, right, allows the realtors to prepare documents and not a lawyer? Well, it's Article 26. We just talked about this. And then, as long as you don't charge for that service. First, Arizona Land Title and Trust Company, real estate licensees and escrow companies practice real estate law. All right, so we'll talk about Article 26. Licensees may prepare contracts. So here's the big question: what article allows licensees to prepare contracts? Article 26, right? When agents in transaction, and you may not charge. So those are the two big keys you have to remember. You can't charge to prepare contracts. Article 26 gives licensees the power to prepare contracts, and it's only during a transaction. So, may a licensee prepare documents in a real estate transaction when the licensee does not represent one or both of the parties? No. Licensees must be acting as agents in the transaction in order to legally prepare documents. So you have to be party to one transaction. You can't be helping out a friend and doing this for somebody else unless you're involved within that transaction. Now, may a licensee act as a facilitator in a transaction and charge a document preparation fee? Say you're working hard and you want to charge a document prep fee? No. Article 26 requires licensees to be acting as an agent and no charge may ever be made for document preparation. May a licensee write a purchase contract for a buyer and seller on a FSBO for sale by owner property? No. The licensee must be acting as an agent in the transaction. So again, may a licensee write a purchase contract for a buyer and a seller on a for sale by owner. If it's for sale by owner, that means the agent's not involved. You can't have a licensee write up um, the transaction, right? The they For Article 26 to hold, the agent has to be in the transaction. So I've had friends before ask me to do this for sale by owner, and I tell them Article 26 does not allow us to do that. If you want to hire me on as a sales agent, then I can do that. Otherwise, I can't. All right, so true or false? Article XXVI, right? 10 plus 10 plus V plus I, that's 26, 10, 20, 25, 26. Article 26 allows real estate agents to prepare all types of real estate contracts. The answer is true. In exchange for writing a contract, a licensee may charge a document preparation fee. This is false. The State Bar of Arizona versus Arizona Land Title and Trust Company case held that real estate licensees are practicing law by writing contracts. True. All right. So by writing um, these contracts, the real estate licensees are practicing law, right? So realtors, brokers, we are practicing law, but it's limited to only preparing these purchase contracts. But these purchase contracts are boilerplated, and we use transaction desk to get these, and they're prepared by attorneys, and we kind of just we use those purchase contracts. There's on real estate commissioners rules are law and apply to the public as well as real estate licensees. This is false, right? So the it doesn't apply to public, it mainly applies to realtors, right? Commissioners rules, their rules are not laws, but they apply to licensees as laws. But to the public, they don't really apply to them as laws because they're not held to the same standards, right, as realtors. A licensee must be an agent for both parties in transactions to legally prepare a purchase agreement. This is false, right? You don't have to be a dual agent. You can be a single agent. You can act as the buyer or act as the seller. It doesn't matter. Let's talk about Arizona Revised Statutes, Title 32, Chapter 20. It creates Arizona Department of Real Estate. So Title 32, Chapter 20 creates the Arizona Department of Real Estate and the areas it regulates. So Article 1 is Arizona Department of Real Estate, ADRE. Real estate broker is someone who performs real estate services for another for compensation. See ARS 32-2101. For all services that require a person to be licensed as a real estate broker. real estate salesperson is someone engaged by a real estate broker to perform any act or participate in a real estate transaction in a manner included in the definition of a real estate broker. A real estate commissioner is appointed by the governor. The qualifications is there's 3 years administrative experience. So the real estate commissioner is going to be the commissioner is appointed by the governor, right? So the commissioner needs 3 years, right? 3 years of admin experience, and they need 5 years experience in real estate or a related field. So again, if you want to be the commish, right? The commish, you're going to be appointed by the governor. You're going to need 3 and 5, so 3 years administrative experience and 5 years of real estate or related experience. Um, and you cannot hold an active real estate license once appointed. So your duties are PAMI, right? So the commish has PAMI duties. P is going to be promulgate the commissioner's rules through public process. Audit. So PAMI. Oops. So A is going to be audit the books and records of licensees. So you're going to be looking at different brokerages, talking to different brokers. M is manage the daily operation of the ADRE and to hire and serve ADRE employees. That's M. And then I is investigate written complaints against licensees. So if you want to be a commissioner, right, you're appointed by the governor. You need 3 years admin experience and 5 years in work experience as in real estate or related field. You can't be working as a realtor, right? So yes, your license has to be on. You can't be active, it has to be inactive, and you have the PAMI duties. So I is the commissioner investigates any complaints against licensees. So the commissioner can subpoena documents, right? Subpoena, right? Force those documents. And the commissioner may apply to Superior Court to compel a licensee to comply with a subpoena. So again, it may apply to Superior Court to compel a licensee to comply with a subpoena. So if the commissioner wants a document from a licensee, the licensee doesn't want to supply it, well, then the commissioner is going to subpoena the Superior Court, and the Superior Court is going to send them a document saying that you have to comply with the subpoena. Otherwise, you'll be held in contempt, go to court, or you go get some jail time. So here's the Real Estate Advisory Board. The Real Estate Advisory Board is made up of 10 members. It's 2 real estate brokers, 2 subdividers, 3 persons engaged in residential real estate for the last 5 years. 1 must be involved in multifamily residential property management, and 3 public members. And they're appointed by the governor and meet quarterly, but they can't receive any compensation, right? So that's the advisory board. If you want to sit on the real estate advisory board, 2 real estate brokers, 2 subdividers, 3 people engaged in residential real estate, and then you got the last 3 to make up the 10 of the 3 public members, right? And the governor is going to appoint these 10 real estate advisory board. The governor is always also appointing the commissioner. So Arizona Revised Statutes, Title 32, Chapter 20. If you go to www.azleg.gov, Arizona Legislature. So Article 1 of the Real Estate Department That's going to define real estate brokers. Real estate broker, talk about that, is someone who performs real estate services for another for compensation. Do you need a real estate broker to sell your own house? No, because you're doing it on your own. But if you want to hire someone else to do that, they need to be licensed. And a real estate broker is someone, or a real estate salesperson who works for the broker. They are someone who acts on behalf of another person to sell real estate, right? But you don't need a license to sell your own real estate, but it's just highly not advised. For sale, for real estate salesperson is going to be someone engaged by a real estate broker to perform any act or participate in a real estate transaction. So the commish, right? The commissioner qualifications, they're appointed by the governor, right? So you got the governor, right? That governor, he's going to appoint. That governor is going to appoint the commissioner. That commissioner needs to have 3 years of admin experience and then 5 years of real estate experience, and then have no active license. Then they have what's called the PAMI duties. They'll promulgate, audit brokers' books, manage complaints. They'll investigate complaints, manage brokers and salespeople. Actually, they don't manage brokers and salespeople. They manage real estate, ADRE. So commissioners' duties, they are to promulgate, adopt rules through public processes. They're to audit licensees' books and records, announced or unannounced audits. So if you have a brokerage, typically what happens is every 2 years you have to fill out a form, and it's just yes or no. And if they pick up a red flag and you say no to something, then you have to self audit anyways every 2 years. Commissioner's duties, they're to manage the ADRE operations. Commissioner's duties are to investigate written complaints. They may subpoena documents, superior court to force compliance. So the real estate advisory board is made up of 10 members. And what do? They advise the commissioner and the governor, right? So that governor is going to appoint the commissioner, and the governor and the commissioner is advised by the 10 real estate board members. That's made up of several folks. These 10 members, they need to have qualifications, but they're at the end of the day, they're appointed by the governor. So the governor is going to appoint the commissioner and the 10 real estate advisory board members. And they have to meet every quarter, right? So they meet 4 times a year, they meet quarterly, and they cannot receive any compensation. So let's go true or false. So a real estate broker's license is required if someone performs real estate services for another for compensation. This is true, right? You have to have a license to practice. You have to have a real estate license to practice real estate. But you don't need a license if it's a for sale by owner, you don't need a real estate license. The Arizona Real Estate Commissioner is appointed by the governor, right? The governor, right? That, I remember it as like the Terminator guy, the governor. That governor is going to appoint commissioner and the advisory board, right? So the Arizona Real Estate Commissioner is appointed by the governor. True. The real estate commissioner may hold an active real estate license. This is false, right? They can't be the commissioner, while he's doing his PAMI duties, he cannot sell or help someone buy real estate, right? His license has to be inactive. He cannot be active, so therefore he cannot do any, uh, selling or buying of real estate. The four duties of the commissioner include investigating complaints against licensees and auditing licensees' records. This is true, right? So this is part of, right? PAMI. So P, promulgate. I is audit. Um, M is manage. I is investigate. So auditing and investigating are the M and the I of the PAMI. The real estate commissioner may adopt rules without public hearings. This is false, right? The commissioner adopts those rules, but it has to be in a public hearing setting. The real estate commissioner oversees the day-to-day operations of the real estate department. This is true. So the the commissioner who's appointed by the governor, they oversee that day-to-day operation of the real estate department. The real estate advisory board has 10 members and meet no more frequently than annually. Right. So this is false. We said this. They meet every quarter, right? Quarterly, so 4 times a year, quarters, right? The advisory board managed the real estate department. This is false, right? The advisory board only gives advices to the governor and the commissioner. That's what the advisory board is established for, right? And that board is appointed by the governor. So the governor appoints the advisory board, and it appoints the commissioner. And what the advisory board is just to advise um, the commissioner and the governor. So let's talk about some definitions of real estate language and concepts that represent a critical element of the licensing exam. So Article 26, right? What is that? That allows real estate agents to prepare contracts. Vocabulary activity. Definitions of real estate language and concepts represent a critical element of the licensing exam. So Article 26, what does that do? That allows real estate agents to prepare contracts. If you have an agent for one of both parties, that's a requirement to prepare real estate contracts. Commissioner's rules, that has effect of law on licensees, right? Commissioner's rules, it's like their rules are not laws, but rules act as laws on licensees. A real estate commissioner is appointed by the governor, right? So you got the governor, he appoints the commissioner, or he or she appoints the commissioner, and also the governor appoints the advisory board. There's 10 members on the advisory board. So key terms to remember is Article 26 of Arizona Constitution. Article of the Arizona Constitution that permits licensed active real estate brokers and agents to prepare the documents necessary in a real estate transaction is handled by their brokerage without charging a fee. So Article 26 allows you to prepare documents, but you can't charge a fee. Commissioner's rules and regulations adopted by the Arizona Department of Real Estate and published in the Arizona Administrative Code, AAC, in Title 4, Chapter 28. Real Estate Advisory Board is a 10-member board. It's appointed by the governor that advises and gives recommendations to the commissioner of the Arizona Department of Real Estate. Members serve a 6-year term. real estate also one repeat again, members will serve a 6-year term. So it's a big deal to be on the real estate advisory board. They're not paid and they serve a 6-year term. The real estate commissioner is the person who heads the Arizona Department of Real Estate. So if anybody asks you who's the head of the Department of Real Estate, it's the commissioner. The commissioner is the person that's going to inspect, right? The PAMI. They're inspecting brokerages. They're investigating complaints against licensees. The commish, right, where you get your commission, if you want to remember it like that. The commissioner is the head of the Department of Real Estate. And they're appointed by the governor. The commissioner has no set term, right? Prior to the appointment, the commissioner must have at least 5 years of experience in real estate, banking, or title escrow business, and also 3 years experience. Substantive policy statements (SPS), advisory written content to establish and clarify ADRE policies on statutes and rules. All right, let's go over the summary. Before moving on to the unit quiz, please review these key points. So, the sources of law include the United States and Arizona constitutions, federal and state statutes, case law, Arizona Commissioner's rules, and substantive policy statements. So, where are we getting all these rules and regulations? Well, the source of law come from Arizona Constitution, federal state statutes, the case law. The case, State Bar of Arizona versus Arizona Land Title and Trust Company, found that Arizona real estate agents were practicing law without a license, right? So that's case law, right? So we can develop Article 26 that came out of that case law, State Bar of Arizona versus Arizona Land Title and Company. So what happened there was Article 26 was developed. Article 26 of Arizona Constitution enables real estate agents to prepare all types of real estate contracts when acting as an agent for one or both parties, but may not charge for document preparation. Article 1 of Title 32, Chapter 20 of the Arizona Revised Statutes creates the Arizona Department of Real Estate. A real estate broker is someone who, for another and for compensation, performs various real estate services as defined in Arizona law. The real estate commissioner is appointed by the governor and has 4 duties, PAMI. So, promulgate rules, audit the books and records of licensees, manage the daily operation of real estate department, investigate complaints against licensees. That's PAMI. So, promulgate rules, that means adopt rules, audit books, and manage daily operations and investigate complaints against licensees. Right, so commissioner is going to be the head of the Arizona Department of Real Estate. The Real Estate Advisory Board consists of 10 members who are appointed by the governor and receive no compensation. All right, let's go over the quiz. So, which of the following does the Arizona Department of Real Estate enforce? So this one's going to be Bravo. Real estate statutes and rules. So which of the following does the Arizona Department of Real Estate enforce? It enforces real estate statutes and rules. Does it enforce disputes between landlord and tenant? No. How about complaints regarding escrow officers? No. Fair housing statutes and ethical complaints? No. Article 26 of Arizona Constitution prohibits licensees from performing all the following practices except what? This one's going to be bravo. Charging a flat fee for negotiating offer for a buyer the licensee represents. So again, you cannot charge a fee for preparing documents according to Arizona Constitution, Article 26. So is it preparing purchase contracts for buyers and sellers whom the licensee does not represent? No, they have to represent them. Acting as a paid facilitator between parties? No. Completing contracts between an unrepresented buyer and a for sale by owner seller for a commission? No. The Arizona Supreme Court case that found that real estate licensees were practicing law by writing contracts and subsequently led to the adoption of Article 26 in the Arizona Constitution was what? This one's Delta D, right? This case law came about from State Bar of Arizona versus Arizona Land Title and Trust Company. So that what happened was from that case law came about Article 26. So was it Barnes versus Lopez? No. Bailey versus City of Mesa? No. Lerner versus DMB Realty? No. The commissioner has the power to do all of the following except what? This one's Delta. So create real estate statutes. The commissioner has the power to do all that except create real estate statute. The commissioner cannot create real estate statutes. It can adopt the statutes, the rules, but it has to have a public hearing as well. So does the commissioner have the power to prescribe rules and regulations? Yes. Investigate signed written complaints? Yes. Examine office records? Yes. What clarifies ADRE's position on statutes or rules? Answer is alpha. So, what clarifies ADRE's position on statutes or rules? So, substantive policy statements. That's the answer. Is it ARS? No. Arizona Administrative Code? No. Is it case law? No. So, substantive policy, the policy statements clarifies ADRE's position on statutes or rules. Substantive policy statements. The basic purpose of real estate laws and regulations is what? This one's bravo. So, the basic purpose of real estate laws and regulations is to protect the public. Right? Is it to protect the broker and salespeople? No. Is it to control the broker and salespeople? No. To protect the escrow? No. The basic purpose of real estate laws and regulations is to protect the people, right? The people is who doesn't have a lot of knowledge of real estate. As licensees, we're real estate professionals, and our job is to protect the public, right? Protect the public. Protect. Which of the following is true? There's an Department of Real Estate. Answer is alpha. Audits, brokers, trust accounts. So is it B, enforce Arizona Residential Landlord Tenant Act? No. Do they investigate fair housing violation? No. Do they enforce commission disputes between brokers? No. So Arizona Department of Real Estate, they audit brokers' trust accounts, and more specifically, That's what the commissioner's job is to do. PAMI, PAMI. The A in audit, that's one of the powers of the commissioner, right? Is to audit the broker's trust accounts. All are sources of Arizona real estate law and regulation except the Arizona. Answer is Bravo Model Brokers Policy Manual. So all of these are sources of Arizona real estate law and regulation except model. So is it the revised statutes? No. Actually, yeah. That the revised statute is a source of the Arizona real estate law and regulation. Is administrative code a source of Arizona real estate law? Is case law a source of Arizona real estate law? So those three are sources. But your broker's policy manual may have something in there that's not law, right? It's just a rule or a policy in the company. So model broker's policy manual is just going to be rule or some sort of policy that can be broken and you won't go to jail. What can't the real estate commissioner do in the normal line of work? Answer is Bravo. Hold an active real estate license. So they can't hold an active real estate license. Can they check files of a licensee? Yes. So they have the power of PAMI, PAMI, promulgate, audit, um, manage, and investigate. Can they hire and fire Department of Real Estate employees? Yeah. Can they revoke a real estate license? Yeah. Right. They can. That's part of their investigation. But can they hold an active real estate license? Can they go out there and sell real estate? Can the commissioner do that? No, can't do that. All right. Next up is going to be Unit 2. We're going to talk about Arizona Commissioner's Rules, Part